Have you ever woken up feeling unusually tired, or found yourself short of breath after doing something simple like walking to the kitchen or climbing a few stairs, and just told yourself, well, I guess that's just part of getting older? It's something most seniors tell themselves. But what if those small everyday moments weren't simply signs of aging? What if they were quiet, early warnings from your heart? In the United States, over 170,000 people experience what's known as a silent heart attack each year. These are heart attacks that happen without the dramatic, crushing chest pain or sudden collapse that we often associate with heart trouble. Instead, they come in whispers, a bit of unexplained fatigue, some indigestion, a wave of dizziness, and because they seem mild or unrelated, most people ignore them completely. That's exactly what makes them so dangerous. Studies show that people who've had a silent heart attack without realizing it are 3 times more likely to die from heart disease in the next decade than those who recognized the symptoms and got medical attention. The damage happens quietly, and because there's no urgent response, it goes untreated. The next time, the warning may not be silent, and it might be too late. Seniors are especially at risk. As we grow older, the body's ability to sense and report pain changes. Many older adults don't feel the typical signs of a heart attack. Add in diabetes, high blood pressure, or cholesterol problems, and the risk of missing these silent symptoms grows even more. That's why today's video matters. We're going to share 6 subtle signs, things many seniors shrug off as normal aging, that could actually be early signs of a heart attack. These aren't rare conditions or extreme emergencies. They're common, everyday signals that are easy to overlook until it's too late. So if you're over 60, or if you care for someone who is, don't ignore this message. This could be one of the most important videos you'll ever watch for your health. Pay close attention. These signs could be your heart's quiet way of asking for help. When most people picture a heart attack, they imagine a sharp, crushing pain in the chest, radiating into the left arm, followed by panic and a rush to the emergency room. But in reality, not all heart attacks announce themselves with such drama. In fact, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, up to 1 in 5 heart attacks in the United States are considered silent. That means no classic chest pain, no warning signs that feel urgent, no obvious signal that something is seriously wrong. And yet inside the body, the heart is still being damaged. A silent heart attack, medically known as a silent myocardial infarction, SMI, occurs when blood flow to part of the heart muscle is blocked. Just like in a typical heart attack, the blockage is usually caused by a buildup of fatty plaque in the coronary arteries, a condition called atherosclerosis. Over time, these plaques can rupture, triggering the body's clotting response. When a clot forms at the site of rupture, it can block blood flow completely or partially. Without oxygen-rich blood, the heart muscle begins to suffer and die, leading to permanent damage. The difference with a silent heart attack is not in the damage, it's in the signals, or rather the lack of them. In many older adults, the nerve pathways that normally carry pain signals from the heart to the brain become less responsive with age. Conditions like diabetes further complicate this by damaging nerves throughout the body, a condition known as diabetic neuropathy. When the nerves that detect chest pain are dulled or impaired, the body can't send out the typical distress call. Instead of a clear, sharp pain, someone might feel a vague heaviness, slight indigestion, a wave of fatigue, or nothing at all. These subtle signs are easily brushed off, especially by seniors who have grown used to discomfort or believe symptoms are simply part of aging. This lack of alarm is precisely why silent heart attacks are so dangerous. Since there's no intense pain to prompt urgent medical attention, most cases go unnoticed until weeks or even months later if they're discovered at all. Often they're only detected during routine checkups or heart tests, when doctors find evidence of scarring on the heart muscle that indicates a past infarction. The American Heart Association has reported that people who suffer a silent heart attack are just as likely, if not more likely, to face serious complications later on. These include chronic heart failure, arrhythmias, stroke, and a significantly higher risk of another, possibly fatal heart attack. One large-scale study, published in the journal Circulation, found that over 45% of all heart attacks may be silent, and among those, many occur in older adults with existing risk factors like high blood pressure, obesity, and diabetes. That means nearly half of heart attack survivors may not even know they've had one until it's too late. It's a deeply unsettling truth. A heart attack can happen, cause permanent damage, and increase long-term risk of death without the person ever realizing it occurred. And while that might sound frightening, it also highlights the importance of paying close attention to subtle bodily changes, especially in older adults. So if chest pain doesn't appear, what does? That's the real question, and the answer may surprise even those who think they know their body well. Because what follows next is a breakdown of 6 often overlooked symptoms, ones that don't feel dangerous, don't seem urgent, and yet may hold the key to detecting a silent killer before it strikes again. It often begins subtly, almost imperceptibly, a slow, creeping tiredness that makes simple tasks feel just a little more difficult than they used to be. At first, it's easy to chalk it up to a poor night's sleep, stress, or just part of getting older. But what happens when that fatigue lingers day after day, even after a full night's rest or a break from physical activity? Chronic fatigue is one of the most common yet misunderstood warning signs of a silent heart attack, particularly in older adults. The heart, when under strain or not receiving adequate oxygen, struggles to pump blood efficiently to the rest of the body. As a result, energy levels drop significantly, leaving a person feeling depleted even after light activity. This symptom is particularly dangerous because it blends so seamlessly into the narrative of aging. Seniors often dismiss it, believing they simply need more rest or less stress. However, when fatigue feels disproportionate to the effort exerted, or when it becomes a daily pattern, it's not something to brush off. It's a signal the body might be in distress. Ignoring it can allow a silent heart attack to progress unnoticed, increasing the risk of long-term damage or even sudden cardiac events. Following close behind fatigue is an unusual sensation in the chest. Not the sharp, dramatic pain often portrayed in media, but a mild, persistent pressure. This sensation might feel like a tight band across the middle of the chest, a dull ache, or an internal weight pressing inward. It might come and go, sometimes worse during activity, sometimes surfacing while resting. Many seniors confuse this with indigestion or heartburn, particularly if it occurs after eating. Some even attribute it to anxiety or minor respiratory issues. Yet, this subtle discomfort is often the only external symptom a person will feel during a silent heart attack. Unlike the searing pain of a major cardiac event, this mild pressure doesn't scream for attention, but that's precisely what makes it so dangerous. It flies under the radar, encouraging inaction, allowing the underlying damage to continue. If chest pressure feels new, persistent, or linked with other symptoms like fatigue or breathlessness, it's time to get checked, because the heart doesn't always yell. Sometimes it whispers. Then there's the phenomenon of unexplained sweating, cold, clammy skin that appears without warning or exertion. It might happen while watching TV, reading, or even during sleep. This isn't the sweat associated with hot weather or a workout. It's a sudden uncomfortable moisture, often described as breaking out in a cold sweat. This happens because the body is responding to stress internally. When the heart is in trouble, it sends signals through the autonomic nervous system, triggering an adrenaline surge that leads to sweating. Seniors might dismiss it as a side effect of medication, a passing fever, or even a hormonal change. But when cold sweats occur without cause, especially alongside chest discomfort or fatigue, it could be a red flag. Studies have shown that this symptom is more common in silent myocardial infarctions than many realize, particularly in women. It's important to note that this type of sweat doesn't feel natural. It's sticky, sudden, and accompanied by a vague sense that something is off. The body's internal alarm system, in this case, isn't setting off sirens. It's quietly blinking in the background, hoping someone notices. Breathlessness is another symptom often downplayed in older adults. After all, isn't it normal to get winded with age? Not exactly. While a decline in aerobic capacity does occur naturally over time, being suddenly short of breath, while doing something as simple as folding laundry or walking across a room, isn't typical. In fact, shortness of breath, particularly if it appears suddenly and without exertion, can be a key sign of a silent heart attack. This occurs when the heart is unable to circulate blood effectively, resulting in a mismatch between oxygen supply and demand throughout the body. What makes this especially dangerous is how frequently it's mistaken for a respiratory issue or even anxiety. Seniors might tell themselves it's just being out of shape or the weather, but when it becomes a recurring issue, especially when paired with fatigue or chest discomfort, it warrants immediate attention. Cardiac-related shortness of breath tends to feel different from that caused by lung issues. It may come with a sensation of pressure or even mild panic, even in the absence of pain. These moments, though fleeting, are the heart's quiet pleas for help. Nausea, indigestion, and gastrointestinal upset round out this list in unexpected ways. Many seniors assume that an upset stomach is related to something they ate, or a minor illness, and in many cases, they're right. However, in silent heart attacks, especially in women, the vagus nerve, which connects the heart and digestive system, can misfire and send distress signals to the stomach. What results is a feeling of nausea, a loss of appetite, or discomfort that mimics heartburn. This symptom is insidious because it seems so benign. Who would associate a bit of nausea with a life-threatening condition? Yet when combined with other warning signs, fatigue, sweating, mild chest discomfort, it becomes more than a digestive issue. It becomes a pattern. Unfortunately, this particular symptom often gets overlooked entirely. Seniors may try antacids, change their diet, or simply wait it out, never realizing that their heart may be under silent attack. Recognizing the connection between gut discomfort and cardiac stress could be the key to catching a silent MI before it escalates into something far more dangerous. Finally, there are the less conventional pain signals: discomfort in the jaw, neck, back, shoulders, or even the upper abdomen. These areas might seem unrelated to the heart, but in reality they share nerve pathways that can transmit pain when the heart is under duress. This phenomenon, called referred pain, is one of the most deceptive aspects of cardiac symptoms. A senior may complain of a tight jaw, a stiff neck, or a sharp pain between the shoulder blades and never once consider the heart. These types of pain can be mild or intermittent, but they're often persistent enough to notice. What's most dangerous is their ambiguity. They don't feel cardiac, and so they rarely lead to medical evaluations. Yet studies show that a large percentage of silent heart attack patients report this kind of discomfort in hindsight. It's only when the damage is already done that the pieces begin to connect. So if unusual aches or pressure persist, especially in upper body areas, it's time to pay closer attention, not just to the symptoms themselves, but to the body's broader message. Individually, each of these symptoms could be explained away. They're subtle, familiar, and even common in daily life. But together, they form a pattern, one that demands attention. And yet, despite all this, here comes the truly unsettling truth. Even when seniors notice these signs, many don't act. They delay. They question themselves. They tell others not to worry. And that hesitation is what silent heart attacks rely on. Because if pain doesn't come, what does? There's a quiet resilience that defines many older adults. A generation raised to endure, to push through discomfort, and to avoid complaining unless absolutely necessary. This deeply ingrained mindset, while admirable in many ways, often becomes a silent accomplice when it comes to missed warning signs of serious health conditions. Seniors are especially vulnerable to overlooking the subtle symptoms of a silent heart attack, not only because the signs themselves are mild or ambiguous, but because their natural instinct is to rationalize or minimize what they're feeling. A persistent ache is brushed off as arthritis, a wave of fatigue dismissed as a poor night's sleep, or breathlessness explained away as being out of shape. The default response often isn't alarm, it's acceptance. And that, sadly, can lead to devastating delays in seeking help. Part of the challenge also lies in the physical changes that come with aging. As the body grows older, the nervous system becomes less responsive, and the threshold for pain perception can shift. This means that the classic crushing chest pain associated with a heart attack might not be as intense, or might not even register at all. Seniors with chronic conditions like diabetes face an even higher risk. Diabetes can damage peripheral nerves, a condition called neuropathy, which dulls sensation throughout the body, including in the chest. When the nerves that would normally scream for help are muted, the brain doesn't get the message that something's wrong. So instead of intense pain, a diabetic senior might experience a vague unease, or no symptoms at all. These muted signals are easily lost in the noise of everyday discomforts. Psychologically, there's also the tendency to downplay symptoms for the sake of others. Many seniors don't want to feel like a burden, especially to their children or caregivers. They might fear causing unnecessary worry or hospital visits that could disrupt family routines. So instead of voicing their concerns, they stay quiet, waiting for the discomfort to pass. And when it doesn't, they may adapt, adjusting their expectations, chalking it up to just getting older. Phrases like, "It's probably nothing," or "I'll be fine," or "This is normal for someone my age," become daily mantras. This self-talk can be comforting, but it's also dangerous, because silent heart attacks don't play by the rules, and waiting for the pain to become obvious might mean waiting too long. Then there's the misunderstanding of what real risk looks like. Many seniors think, "I eat pretty healthy," or "I don't feel that bad," and assume they're not candidates for a heart problem. But heart disease doesn't discriminate based on perception. It follows risk. And unfortunately, many of the risk factors for silent heart attacks are especially common in older adults. Diabetes, high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, obesity, and a sedentary lifestyle all significantly increase the chance of cardiovascular issues. Add a family history of heart attack or stroke to the mix, and the risk climbs even higher. What's more alarming is that many seniors have one or more of these risk factors and still believe they're low risk because they haven't felt anything serious yet. But when warning signs are subtle and the body's alarm system is muted, relying on feeling alone can be a fatal mistake. So when should a senior stop brushing symptoms aside? Recognizing when to act can mean the difference between life and irreversible damage. While it's tempting to wait for symptoms to become undeniable, that instinct can be fatal, especially when it comes to silent heart attacks. The absence of crushing chest pain does not equal safety. In fact, for many seniors, the most telling signs are those that seem insignificant at first glance. If chronic fatigue persists for days without improvement, especially when paired with other subtle symptoms, like shortness of breath during routine tasks or unexplained cold sweats, it's time to take action. These signs are not merely part of getting older, they're the body's quiet alarms. When such symptoms appear together or begin to form a pattern, the emergency room isn't an overreaction, it's a wise decision. Timely intervention can save heart muscle, reduce the need for invasive procedures, and even save a life. Once at the ER or with a physician, it's essential to know what to ask for. Start with an electrocardiogram, or ECG. This test records the electrical signals of the heart and can reveal past or ongoing heart attacks, even those that didn't present with obvious symptoms. But because a silent heart attack can sometimes leave only faint traces, also request a blood test for cardiac enzymes, proteins like troponin, that are released when the heart muscle is damaged. Elevated enzyme levels often confirm that a heart attack has occurred. For a more detailed view, an echocardiogram or heart ultrasound can show how well the heart is pumping and if any areas are weakened. These three tests, ECG, cardiac enzymes, and echocardiogram, form the essential toolkit for detecting silent myocardial infarctions and assessing cardiac function. Waiting for a dramatic collapse isn't the only way to confirm something is wrong. One of the smartest things a senior can do is track symptoms at home. Write down when fatigue appears, how long it lasts, what activities trigger breathlessness, and whether cold sweats happen at rest. Patterns over time are powerful. They help doctors see what you might not recognize in the moment. A notebook or even a smartphone note can become a life-saving journal. Keep it consistent and objective. No detail is too small when it comes to the heart. Of course, getting the right tests and seeking help promptly is critical. But there's something even more powerful than early detection, something that can change the story before it even begins. Because even better than catching a silent heart attack is preventing one. When it comes to heart health after age 60, the most powerful strategy is not waiting for symptoms to appear. It's building a life that protects the heart before trouble starts. One of the simplest yet most effective ways to do that is through diet. The Mediterranean diet, rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, nuts, olive oil, and fatty fish, has shown remarkable results. A landmark study published in The Lancet followed over 1,000 patients with cardiovascular disease and compared a low-fat diet to the Mediterranean approach. After 7 years, those who followed the Mediterranean plan had significantly fewer heart attacks and strokes. This is not just theory, it's science-backed proof that what goes on the plate can keep the heart beating strong. Movement is equally essential. The body was designed for motion, and the heart thrives on regular activity. Seniors who engage in at least 150 minutes of moderate physical activity each week, such as brisk walking, swimming, or cycling, reduce their cardiovascular risk dramatically. It doesn't have to be intense or complicated. Consistency is what matters most. Even a daily walk around the neighborhood can improve circulation, lower blood pressure, and keep the heart muscle engaged. Combine this with regular sleep between 7 and 9 hours per night, and you're giving your body time to repair, regulate blood sugar, and reduce stress hormones that can damage the heart over time. Routine checkups are another crucial line of defense. Seniors should prioritize annual ECGs, cholesterol and lipid panels, and HbA1c blood tests to monitor glucose control. These tests can catch silent risk factors before they develop into emergencies. And for those already diagnosed with cardiovascular conditions, or who have undergone procedures like stents or bypass surgery, maintaining prescribed medications is not optional. Heart meds aren't temporary solutions. They are long-term protectors that help prevent recurrence. Skipping doses or stopping without medical guidance can undo years of progress in an instant. But heart health isn't only physical. Emotional well-being matters too. Studies show that loneliness and social isolation can increase the risk of heart disease by nearly 30%. Staying connected with family, friends, or community groups builds resilience. Emotional support reduces stress, improves sleep, and can even help encourage healthier habits. Simply put, staying socially active is just as important as staying physically active. The final truth is this: heart health doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on what you do. The aging heart rarely shouts, it whispers. And the best way to hear it is to act before it breaks the silence. So take these steps. Make your plate opal. Keep your body in motion. Test regularly. Stay in touch with others, and take your medications as prescribed. In doing so, you're not just extending life, you're protecting its quality. Thank you for watching and choosing to take your heart health seriously. If you found this video helpful, please tap the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our future updates on senior wellness. Until next time, stay well, stay strong, and take care of your heart.